This is Commander Stafford. The forward reconnaissance vessel.
Oh man, this is like, is this like Dead Space?
Curved disc marker, we have detached the booster ring and spirits are high as we make our final approach to Tau City.
Oh wow, this is like a space horror. I am intrigued.
A hull impact, but damage is minimal, and our technicians are restoring full functionality.
This is Thomas Carter. Something's wrong with Sims. She's trying to kill me. I think.
Wow.
Our next transmission will be broadcast from orbit around humanity's future home. Stafford out.
Directive 8020. Interesting. Season 2 premiere. I'm here for it. I'm excited. I'm here for it. Amazing. Hello.
Oh, death.
Oh, that's the song from. That's from Until Dawn. Until Dawn. Awesome Not Until Dawn.
Oh, what is this? I cannot see with icy hands taking hold of me. Oh,
This is pretty neat.
death, none can excel. I open the doors to heaven and hell.
Oh, okay.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Woo. Okay, so I mean, let's maybe go a little bit in reverse, just so
Sure.
that we can,
Sure.
So trailer. So we got to the trailer. I was afraid at one point that we weren't going to get a trailer because the anthology was over, and yeah, this is like the charging of the door threw me off, like in the curator scene, and they just leave that alone, But then it was his last line that said, "I'll see you in the future," and I was like, "Oh, is that like a hint at maybe like the next anthology is going to take place in the future?" And then we get the trailer, and it's like, "Oh my God, Mass Effect, but in Dark Pictures world."
Yeah, I was thinking
With the
Mass
aliens,
Effect, but I was also thinking Dead Space. Dead
I never
Space.
played it, but I mean,
But
it's
it's
scary as crap. But yeah,
it's horror in space, so
yeah.
probably hard to compare it against that. I haven't played Dead Space, but I presume.
Okay, you haven't either. Okay.
I presume it's the same.
I have I watched the anime. It's pretty good actually. It's the movie, and it's pretty good. So that's my context. But I like the idea that they could bring. It's still the same world, and I think
The aliens.
they tap into all the aliens, and it's like they took over Earth. Or
Mhm.
whatever that were, maybe that shuttle took off when they came, when they
Mhm.
discovered them. What was it, 20 years ago or whenever it was?
Yeah.
During the war thing, and now they're like, oh God, we have to we gotta find a plan B for humanity.
Sure.
Woo! I think I like the idea of that. It would be such it'd be a departure.
Yeah.
It would really separate from the first
Yeah.
anthology, but it's still in the same world. I love that it's still connected but completely different. So
Yeah.
that's it.
No, one thing I will give them credit for is every single installment, they do seem to try to push the envelope and make each story its own unique thing. And definitely this probably has the biggest departure, like tonally and just
Yeah, totally.
genre wise.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a sci-fi thriller, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I am, we're, like you and I, of course, are huge Mass Effect fans, and I remember there was, I'm trying to spoil things, but in Mass Effect 3, there was a very horror-based mission that involved Asari.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes,
Yeah. And so I'm kind of getting those vibes a bit. So yeah.
Woo. Yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, and then rolling back, or I mean, any part, I suppose, of the last rundown.
Yeah.
Of things. I guess we go back to more or less go back to the beginning of that part. So we immediately separate. You take control of Jamie and Kate.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them didn't survive, as I came to learn. So yeah. yeah, I'll let you talk about your part, and then I'll explain some of the Mark stuff.
You
I was curious.
you go first this time. You go
Okay.
first.
Okay, so with Mark, I mean, because I didn't think, I thought I killed Mark in the prior scene. Like when I thought, like,
Mm,
because he got caught, and I want to be careful
mm,
again with how much I say, because there's one
sure.
detail that I found with Mark where I was like, oh my God, I got like context that Hark gave me,
Heart.
but it's like
Mm,
something else. It's gonna be something
mm.
else. So I'm gonna let you talk first and see
Okay.
what you might have learned, and then I'll add to it. Otherwise, I'll let you figure it out on your solo play. Um, but yeah, so the first scene coming back with Mark, because I got captured. So I was like, but if he caught me, why am I allowed to go free? Now I did break free. So I'm like, could have that have failed? And then he just would have come in and wrecked me. So like, I don't know what could have, how it could
Hmm.
have ended, but then it would, from a meta perspective, okay, so let's say that did happen. Like I failed somewhere and I died, but you were still running a pretty long scene from the looks of it, because we somehow they measured out how much time we each needed.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
because the whole time I was like, I don't understand how they're doing this, because
Right.
I was in extreme exploration mode. I was outside. Like I was traversing things, and I was like, they were doing cutscenes that were supposed to be challenges. And I'm like, do they do this because like Hark is ahead? And now they're trying to like find ways. It's like, depending on how long the player two
Yeah.
takes, you end up being exploring more time, you know? So there's a weird dynamic that was going on with Mark. But I felt like I got so many passes. Like we're talking free ride, like stuff that should have been challenge checks. I got none. I got sped through parts where I was like, how did I just jump there? Like there's so many
Mm.
weird cutscenes going on with,
Interesting.
so I don't know if
Huh.
that was a pacing control issue that
Interesting.
they were trying to do
Huh.
with Mark, because he survived. At least at that point, he was still surviving. I'll put it that way. There was a chance I could have died a couple times. So yeah, I mean, I got to the end, but it was one of
I,
those. There was some close calls, but it was
I
still like I felt like I got a free ride, and you were doing all the work on your side.
I felt
Jeez.
entirely the same way about the timing, because one thing that I also want to give credit to the series is that somehow they
Mhm.
do a pretty good job of having the time that you need and the time that I need. Like that feels relatively seamless. Now, yes, we've talked about how one of us will like cut off the other,
Mhm.
so that does happen.
Mhm.
And there was the one like really
Could have been
weird.
a vital point for you with
Well,
Charlie.
there was the one part where I said that I was kind of T-posing
Yeah.
almost, that I was just
Oh, that.
stuck
Okay.
for like a
I see.
good 3 or 4 minutes, just stuck waiting, doing nothing. Um, so that was
Odd.
like more obvious, but that was like, as I said, very rare
Mhm.
with this series. And so you're right.
Mhm.
When I was also in full exploratory mode, and I was taking my time, right? Because
Mhm.
I was figuring out, I had puzzles I had needed to figure out, and I'm like, how is Shay not done yet? Like, how is Shay not cutting me off yet? Because like
I
I'm
got
in a
stuck
pretty
somewhere. I
long,
got.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was also kind of stuck too.
Oh,
I was
what a
like,
mess.
what am I
What a
supposed to do
balance.
next? I hope that
That is,
Shay triggers
that's
something so that
exactly. That's
I hope
exactly
Trophy triggers
what I
something
was
so
saying.
that
I
we
was
can
like,
move
please,
on.
Ark,
Because I feel
get me
like
out
I'm
of
gonna
this,
get
Ark.
stuck. Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way. I was like, I don't want to be there
How
anymore.
embarrassing.
So
That's awesome.
it is cool that it's somehow lined up
Yeah.
pretty well.
Yeah.
And because the whole time I was like, what is Mark doing this whole time?
Woo.
Like
What a journey.
I know why I'm taking forever. It's like, what's Mark doing? So
Yeah.
I'm lots of questions there.
There was some continuity questions that came up while I was playing Mark, because I was we talked about the whole like who hears what, who sees what, and
Yeah.
because we're switching characters,
Yes.
now I'm in a scenario where I'm like, how does Mark
How-
know to do this? Did Mark hear them talk about the light tower? Did he hear about like, so
Yeah.
I was struggling with trying to connect the pieces, because Mark seemed to know what he was
Yeah.
doing and where he was going. And I knew
Right.
as a player, but I'm like, I don't think Mark was in the room. Like, and then there was a comment tied to what Erin wrote on the wall when she died. And I was like,
Yeah.
Mark wasn't in the room. He wasn't in the room there. So I'm like, how did Mark know? Because she
He
would have been
was. He
dead.
was in the room
He was
because
in the room with,
he was there with Jamie and they were watching Kate,
oh, I
and
thought it was,
he was there. The only person who wasn't
oh,
there
of
was
course, Jesse.
Charlie because he died.
Right. Okay. Right.
But they
Oh,
were all
wow.
there. They were all
That's
there. He saw that.
awkward. Jamie. Some reason I thought only Jamie was in there. I don't know why. I
No,
thought
no,
that'd
no,
be
no.
They
So
all
Mark
four
was there
were
too. All four
because
of
it
them
was
were
like it
there.
was the partners, and then it was like one of the partners had to
Right.
go.
One of the
right.
they were both
That's
romantic
both of them.
interests, and
Okay.
it's like one of them was going to lose
Okay,
a
that's
romantic interest.
that's
Yes.
resolved then for me.
I
Now the
presume.
dog, the
Yeah. So that was the thing.
I
Go
have
ahead.
no idea what the hell that was. I don't
Really?
know what the dog was. The guy Mark named the
Really?
dog. I'm like, what the dog?
Wait.
At one point I thought the dog was going to kill me in my scene because I thought it was like I was being chased by.
Wait. Was that the first
Who's the
time you've
dog?
ever seen the dog?
And when I thought I could have gotten nailed by it inside the traversal, the
Did
last exploration scene. He was
did you
growling at me, and I managed to like get out of the scene. Like I didn't have to escape though, and I didn't fight it. But I was like, but it was growling. It wasn't friendly, and I was like,
did
whose dog is this?
did you learn? I was gonna say, even though you had not met the dog prior to this, at some point did you learn the dog's name?
I
Did you
not that I remember, not me,
really?
unless
Because
it was in a
that was
scene and I missed it.
that was what I was confused about, because when there was this dog, and then at some point Mark is like Carolyn or Caroline or whatever, like Mark knew the dog's name, and
Yeah,
I'm
we're talking
like,
at the boat scene, or are we talking before
yeah,
the exit scene or the boat scene?
I don't remember. At some
Yeah,
point, a
yeah.
lot of things were happening at the end. At some point,
Okay,
Mark
okay, okay.
calls the dog by
Yes,
name.
to get the dog on the boat. Yes.
Right. And I'm like, how does Mark know this
Okay, so we're
dog? Is
both on the
this Mark's
same.
dog? And well, I thought that you had met the dog
Oh
at
yeah.
some
See,
point,
no. Okay,
and
no.
like I wasn't sure if that dog was actually your dog somehow, even though we didn't come into the island with the dog,
Holy
or
crap! What
or in a
happened?
separate scene you had made friends or met the dog on a separate scene that I wasn't in, because I knew you had Mark for a bunch of times, and I wasn't present with Mark. So
Interesting.
so I thought,
So,
did you meet the dog? Because I didn't meet the
hmm.
dog as Mark. Like I didn't learn the dog's name, but somehow Mark knew the dog's name. And so I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I bet you Shay probably figured out the dog's name somehow, but no? Okay, I'm confused.
No,
That's
unless there
random.
was like maybe that's the pace control that they might have been doing between us. So
Okay.
when I saw the dog and it was growling at me, that
Yeah.
was a very jarring cut. Like we're talking extremely jarring. I went from dog is growling at me. Oh shit! Is there going to be a quick time event? Like do I have to leap
Mhm.
off this cliff? And then it like cut, and I was like
Huh.
walking up something or into a building. I forget what the cut was, but I was like, what just happened?
Right.
Like I
The
feel
dog
so
went
there could have
away.
been
Huh.
a scene that could have been extended where I calm the dog down. I see the name tag.
Interesting.
I see the name of
That's
and
what I
then
thought.
maybe I move
That's what I
on.
thought.
But
Okay.
I
Then I
feel
don't
like I
know.
lost the clip there. I lost the clip there.
Interesting.
And there was at least two
Huh.
times, maybe three times in the Mark scene where I was like, this is extremely jarring. Like I know I'm traversing
Hmm.
to get to the lighthouse and then from the lighthouse to the dock, but I'm all over the place. Like I don't. And sometimes I'm in a building, then I'm at the top of the
Hmm.
lighthouse. I've gone down the lighthouse, but then the scene ends with me at the top of the lighthouse, and then I'm
Huh.
outside wandering somewhere else. I'm like, what happened? Things are tripping up and like reshuffled in odd
Interesting.
ways. So this game did this. Day one release could have used some polish, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
we do take a risk every time we do this,
Yes. It's
right?
the
And that's
release
part
date.
of that's
Yes.
part of the joy of
That's part
it
of the
as
charm.
well, right?
Yes.
We're not gonna we know what we signed up for.
Yes. We know what you signed
But
up for.
this was the most buggy one, Mark. Like I had
Yes.
my head flipped around
Yes.
180 degrees.
I
I was
agree.
walking around with Mark and his head was facing backwards and I couldn't get the light to face in the direction I needed to
There
see. So I couldn't get through the building because my head was backwards. I was
I
like,
it's
I was
funny
such
you
a
said
mess.
that. The same thing happened to Jamie.
Oh,
There's this part
why?
which you'll see too, which is mine. I want to
Okay.
see your part too, because I'm wondering if it's the exact same model bug. But
Oh,
there's this part where I'm trying to have her balance on a log,
oh
right?
yikes. That's even worse
And
though.
I, for whatever reason, I always got the balance part perfectly fine the first
Mm,
try,
mm.
but she kept falling off, which is fine because she just fell off like a few feet and would have
Okay,
to
okay.
climb up and start over again.
Okay.
But every time
I
she
was wondering.
fell, her model got like
Got twitchy?
contorted. Yeah, not twitchy, just contorted. Like her face went this way and her waist went that way. Like she was like twisted like a
Oh
pretzel.
no.
And I was like, this is kind of hilarious.
Oh
And I was like,
no.
poor Jamie. Like you fell off, you fell several feet, and then now you're all like mangled. And it was, yeah. I mean, I figured out how to unmangle her, but
Okay.
because all I had to do was if I climbed up like a bunch of rocks, then she
Straighten
readjusted
out.
herself.
Okay.
But it's like it was so immersion breaking.
It was that's
so
what I was talking about. Is
I
like
was like,
the longer the scene went, the worse he would get until the cut scene corrected me. But
yes.
I was screaming at the mic. I'm gonna have to cut around some parts
That is
because I was getting
hilarious.
extremely loud.
I cannot wait
Because
to
I was
see
laughing the
that.
whole time. I'm
I
like,
want
I
to see
should be
that.
shitty. I should be scared out of my
Yes.
skin here. Like I'm in such a creepy predicament because I
Yes.
know the guy is out there, and all I can do is laugh at this horrible circumstance.
So
Anyways.
wait, so he was chasing you also?
Oh, see, and then I talked about that too. I'm like, how is it
Okay.
possible?
How is he
Because
able to
if
chase
he's
both of
here
us?
and Hark is dealing with
Then
him,
how is
then we're back to is there multiples? Right? Because
yeah.
I got a pseudo confirmation, potentially not.
Mhm.
But then we did see the post-credit scene of someone picking up the mask.
But maybe that's the second one. And the first one actually
So there
died.
might still be multiples. But
Right.
I think I learned something that may have suggested there might not have been.
Interesting.
And that it was a bit of a rigmarole right
Interesting.
till the part that Mark discovers something that,
Huh.
yeah, I'll let you kind of call that one. But then I was like, okay, so maybe it's one and Hark is actually gonna have the wrong
Hmm.
idea. And then the mask gets picked up. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
well, and then the other thing, we did see some names or four names that started with H, and I
Yeah.
feel like I missed the fourth one because like there was scratched one. It was like it was the
Okay.
HH um Holmes, and then it was the oh god, I forget who the second guy was, but his name was coming up in some paperwork, and then it was the third one, which was very late, and it was a Henry something. I think it was
Yeah.
another H, and I feel like there was a fourth name, and it was not scratched out, and I think this was with the
Did
curator.
did any with the curator?
I think it
Like
was a list the curator had. So maybe
oh,
that was the hand that possibly that
interesting.
there was one person who now took up the mantle.
Did you find anyone whose initials were TS, by the way? Does that ring a bell? TS.
Yeah,
Like
yes, it was
Thomas
in a
or
ledger
okay.
from 2000 or something.
Okay.
Oh, he was one of the workers or something. He
Yeah.
was one of
He
the
was one
okay.
of the yes. Okay. I was just curious if you got that piece of
I mean,
clue.
I wouldn't have remembered that one because like it was one again,
Hmm.
one of those things you find on the wall and you're like, is this important? I don't know how what this is gonna matter for, but I think it's more from like you get the dates and so you get some continuity around how do they put the walls in there? Like how do they dig things out? How do they get the wiring done? And it's like, okay, there was an architect in that at one point. There was
The
the different
masks.
roles that were so as we found things on the walls, there would be dates and there would be names, but there would also be like some sort of role, like whether it was an architect or whether it was an engineer or
Hmm.
whatever. And it was like,
Yes.
okay, so this is how the house managed to come to be. Why there's so
Yes.
many walls, the wiring. Like it wasn't just the one guy who pulled it off. I think it was like you keep paying people to come in. Sometimes some of them wouldn't leave. Probably none of them left, to be honest. Otherwise, they talk about the house. But it's I never knew like how to stitch it all together, and that's the thing is like maybe you have to find everything in the house, and then it paints a
Hmm.
much bigger picture. Like I don't read
Hmm.
any of the extra stuff when we're playing co-op on this first run, right? So I don't have the extra context of the
Right.
history of the lore,
Right.
right? We're just in the experience. We're not really absorbing, or I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not absorbing the context behind how these things come to be, how they work the way they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one big critique I have about the climax slash finale of this one is that there are so many, and maybe it's because of purely based on the scenes that I was able to witness and the documents I was able to read, but there were so many loose ends
Mm-hmm.
that I felt should have been tied up. Like I expected a pretty decent reveal by the end,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of
Mm-hmm.
explained at least things like was Charlie actually involved, if or why would, based on what I witnessed,
Mm-hmm.
how do they explain what Aaron find out to think that Charlie was involved somehow? They didn't seem to reveal exactly like
They did on my
who.
side a little
Oh, they
bit.
did on your side.
A little bit.
Oh, a little bit. Okay.
The
Well, that's
Aaron
a
piece,
shame.
but again, it's like you get part of it, then I get part of it, and so
Right.
now we don't have the
So
context
we don't
as
have the
a unified
yeah.
content from ourselves, our own perspective as a
Yeah.
player. Yeah.
But I think even if that were the case, even if you got a good chunk of it, t- and even if we didn't read every little
Mm-hmm.
document on
Yeah.
all of them, there's still some sort of
Yeah.
like explicit
Yeah.
cutscene that actually
Yeah.
that tries to explain something at the end or wraps it
Yeah.
all up a little bit.
Yeah.
But because otherwise how it landed for me was it just felt like, this guy is just a Mike Myers or a Jason who, just chases after you and tries to kill you and is
That's
nigh
exactly.
impossible to
Yeah.
destroy. And to me, that's really shallow. Like that's a very, very, it's a very shallow
Mm-hmm.
ending, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like, oh, like this is Charlie was actually or not in it or not in it like all along, or um, or there actually were multiple Holmeses, or Holmes, and like they never fully explained from what I witnessed, like
Yeah.
the what the relationship Holmes had with the El Carta or Grata, the guy that you meet at the very beginning with the daughter. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
The guy that was showing us around,
yeah. Yeah.
like at first,
Yeah.
who leaves the
Yeah.
island. Like they never explained who he was really versus who Holmes was. And then I figured there must have been some sort of explanation as to what's the significance of the little girl, like the daughter. That never came up, who the daughter was. At least for me, I didn't find out who the daughter was or what her
Wait, what?
significance was. You know what I'm talking about, right? The girl that he escaped with on the
It was
island.
his daughter. Yeah.
I know, but like,
But what do you,
was that just it? That he was his daughter? That's
I
it?
think it's that it's like you have to pretend to be this guy, or I'll kill your daughter. And so it was an ultimatum of like,
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know
no,
get that
I did.
much.
I have to make an assumption. I
Oh, you're
think
making an
that's,
assumption.
yeah,
Okay.
because it's one of those like as soon as he can escape, he's going to escape. And then
Gotcha.
she sees the daughter in the window, and then as soon as we go inside, it's almost like I feel like there was like an agreement there, and it's not explicit though, but
Oh,
it's like
once he
do
did his
this, go out
job,
there with the limo, get these
got
people
it.
to come to this island, and then you
And
get
then
your daughter back.
you can get your daughter.
I'm going to kill your
See, I
wife
didn't.
to see
There
that.
wasn't
Yeah.
enough. There wasn't enough for me to
Okay.
like make those connections, I guess.
I'll say, and then it made the number make sense to me when I told you about the 178 to 180.
Yeah, I
And I was
saw the
like,
number go up.
it
I
only
saw.
makes sense if they're dead. Because if they left and they're incrementing,
Yeah,
then it doesn't make sense that it's both dead people and those that leave the island. So in
right.
my head, I was like, he killed them when they tried to leave the island. And then at the end scene where you might not have seen it.
Oh,
I
he
don't know if that was
killed.
Mark. Did you see the two bodies on the dock with a cop? That's why the cop stops, like
I
makes
did.
us freeze. Okay.
And I think I saw the dead body of the whatever the dude was. So I
Mm,
guess the implication is that
there
the
were two
second
feet.
body,
There were two
right? The
legs.
implication the second leg was the daughter.
The daughter.
Oh, that's sad. That's
Yeah,
really
there were
sad.
two legs under the
Okay.
blank, under the cover. So it's like, and as soon as like it
Oh,
was the
that's
one guy,
sad.
okay,
Okay,
that
so that explains it a little bit. But
and
I
the
guess
increments, and that the boat, what? Oh, see that? Yeah, it's little pieces. The boat was, I don't know where we got this detail, if it was just me, but the boat was actually chained. The boat, the ferry that he left on,
oh, so he didn't
the
actually escape.
it was chained. So where did I get that info, or did we get
Oh,
that info? Like I
I
don't
didn't
know
get
where.
that.
Okay, see, I
I
don't know
didn't
where that.
get
I
I
forget
didn't
where
get
this
any of
info
that.
fell, and that's what's like. Oh,
Interesting.
wait, so the boat's still there that we can potentially get, and it's like, oh, it's the
Got
boat they try to
it.
flee in. Okay, he probably killed them,
Ah,
and now
got it.
it's a weird way that again, those pieces
So
need
did it?
to. It breaks the story up for someone who's trying to get a closure
Yeah.
to the experience. Yeah,
So it really requires us to kind of just
share things
exchange
as we
notes,
go,
right?
which is
Which
weird.
is weird. Yeah, because
Sometimes our character will die, and then it's
we
like,
didn't
yeah.
have to do that with the other three. We didn't have to do that. Like it was
Yeah, for
I
yeah, I don't know.
like sharing each other's notes or watching each other's experience just adds like some extra layers of
Hmm.
details and some
Hmm.
extra context. But
Hmm.
like I feel like the core explanation or the core reveal still happens regardless for both. Um, and in
Yeah,
here, it just seems like a lot of the core was
it,
actually
it,
split.
it was, and the way it ended was that it wasn't. It was final with the one, but then the pickup of the mask, and there's another house that gets built, and there's like another team that's going to get asked to go there. So it's like someone else has picked up the routine and moved it forward. And it's
Yeah,
like so there's no real ending. There's like
right.
this endless loop.
Yeah, it's. I guess the implication was they just find more islands and somehow have enough money to just keep building more of these.
Who's the financer? There's like a weird because
Like,
there's a lot of money, right? So
right,
someone's still financing it, and we didn't get any of those answers. There was like
right,
one thing I found a paper with some will, and so a lot of money came. But it's again, who did that money go to,
right.
and how are
None
they
of
still
those.
Are they not the killers then? Like I got this
Yeah,
part with Mark where the mask came off because I hit him with the axe.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna see the face because it was
But
straight off,
right,
and we're back
I
shot." You know, I
didn't.
was like, "Here we
Yeah,
go, here we go," and then it's like, "Well, you put the mask back on, and now I didn't see his face, so I didn't even get a reveal."
right.
He had a scar. Oh, that might have
Yeah,
been the telltale sign of like the guy we fought on the pier might not have had the scar or the broken mask, and that would
interesting.
have been the indicator for me. There's two,
There's two, and we only killed one of
and I
them.
don't remember if the guy on the pier had a broken mask. He didn't, did he
Yeah,
yet? Oh, he did. Wait, he did. I don't know, man.
but
This is one of those on a
do,
replay. It's the hindsight stuff is gonna.
did we ever get a motive other than these people are
They talked
psychopaths?
about an
Did they have a
MO.
note? Yeah,
Who? Yeah,
but is there a motive beyond just we like killing people? Like, is there more than that? I
that's right. I
mean,
was with you in that
I don't
control
think there
room.
ever was
Yeah.
a motive that they
No,
explained.
psychopath.
They just
Psychopath.
said
It's when we were in
that
the
the
comm
devil is
room.
in me, and
Some, yeah, we were in the comm room, and Kate was talking about how the psychopaths are kind of how they come to be. But it's like, well, that's not really an MO. We still don't. There's still
right,
faceless people that are basically Jasons that are walk chasing people
right,
and not really reactive about anything. It sort of does made it made me feel a little bit like, is it supernatural? Because they haven't really done that with the series, you know.
yeah.
But I'm like, but how they could have given us some nugget
It
here
just,
to say if it's something passing along from one to another, but then it couldn't be the mist stuff because the mist stuff
yeah,
would have been because this would have started. The Devil in Me would have started in 1890. It's
yeah.
1890, yeah, but
I,
the war thing was yeah.
yeah, I guess if the explanation really is that there is truth in that the devil is in these people and they just are so evil that they just want to kill people just for the sake of killing people. I don't know. To me, that just feels really like shallow and not very creative and
Yeah.
unoriginal plot device,
Bring the mist
you
something
know?
with the mist into it to say
Yeah.
that they're all messed up because yeah, but that wouldn't explain the 1890s thing, I suppose. But you know,
Yeah.
so like, but something that would have connected it to the aliens, especially if that's where they're going to commit to going with the next anthology, would have been a
Right.
good way of just saying, here's the closure. You know, we always have our little our
Right.
modus operandi, right?
There's
Like the
no
this is our way to like our secret
right.
weapon in the story to just say this is our
E-
way of doing it.
yeah, and even if all of the characters died, it feels like we still get closure of some sort, and we still get some sort of
For the first playthrough, yeah.
loose ends are relatively tied up, like
Hmm.
regardless of what your outcome is. But for this one, it just seems like yeah, it just feels which is why my evaluation for this one compared to the other three is story wise and plot wise. I felt this was the weakest for me.
It was
It's the
gimmicky.
weakest. It was very gimmicky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Um.
might have to agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think I don't remember how we graded the last one, but I think my Little Hope was lower than yours.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it wasn't because of the gimmicky I forget why I criticized the Little Hope, but it still feels like that's where it is for me.
Mm,
It might be in third
okay.
for me.
Yeah. I think you said
Because
House of Ashes was your first. I think was your
yeah, I think
favorite. Mm-hmm.
so. And maybe it's because it was new to me. I felt like it
Mm-hmm.
felt like a fresh kind of experience to
Yeah.
a horror game, and didn't play the Until Dawn game, so I wasn't familiar with the way the
Mm-hmm.
mechanics worked. I like that
Mm-hmm.
it played with our perspective, but
Mm-hmm.
it kept our perspective with our characters. And I think maybe this game would have
True.
been different if we
True.
played the same characters. They
That's
didn't
true.
flip because that ended up
That's true.
not being meaningful. Whereas in Man of Medan, it was extremely meaningful because
Yeah.
our perception was part of the gaming
That's
experience.
true. That is true.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I felt
Yeah.
like maybe that's where then it got weaker with Little Hope is because the perception thing became the plot because of the psychosis stuff that was going
Yeah.
on. And I feel that there was some negative that I took away from that I felt like
I
I forget what it was, but yeah.
yeah, now that you mention it, I think if we did just get assigned the same characters all throughout as much as possible, it definitely works okay here just because you meet all five of the characters at the same time versus House of
Oh
Shadows.
yeah.
There was the four
Disconnected, you're right. Yeah.
soldiers, and then there was the one that was completely separate. And so I think that's
Right.
the only reason why I really cared
Yeah, right.
about it. So, but yeah, if they had done it for this one, I guess the other thing that's a little bit tricky is that it's a if you do it online, it's a 2-player co-op and there's 5 characters. So that's the only thing
Yeah.
that's might be a
And they
little
might
bit
have
tricky.
pre-scripted the way these scenes were played out. It's like it might not have made it easy for them
Yeah,
to put us in the right, like, because they were doing mixes of characters in ways that
you
there might
just
have been a
couldn't.
technical yeah.
It might have been, yeah, just
Yeah,
how
to give more
the story played
flexibility to
out.
the developers to just say they got to split at some point. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
again where they could have not done that. They probably there were some scenes where they we were all in the same room.
yeah.
Probably I don't know. Maybe it was to balance it out. I don't know. We'd have to read about it, like see if like a developers talk about that or if there's any extra outside of game context.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So how would you rank the 4 now? Now that you've played
Man
this
of
one,
Medan,
is at the top?
Ashes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
still think it
You
would
think
be
Man Man was the
because it
strongest
still
one?
really
Okay,
left an impact with
okay,
the meta
gotcha.
part of the experience was really like it really left an
Okay.
impact. And then the Ashes because I the twist unexpected.
Hmm.
Like it was
The
just the kind of
aliens.
really threw me off. And I
Yeah,
like that how it started this very modern war thing, but it just turned into something completely different.
yeah,
You know, and I love the juxtaposition of the war with against the vampires of like I know
yeah.
it's like maybe tropey too in some degree, but it felt right to me. And
Hmm.
then I would say Little Hope. Maybe it's the
Yeah.
characters again. I don't remember the exact feeling, but my gut is telling me it's Under Ashes, and then it'd be this one.
And
Then
then
it'd be this
this is
one
the last one.
because of
Yeah.
the I think the character work. I don't want to blame I don't want to put the bugs as one of the reasons, right? I'm
Yeah, I
still
don't
thinking
either.
narrative and characters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that this one and the gimmicky nature
Yeah.
that I didn't exactly know what I was trying to I knew the premise of what we were trying to do as a story, get out of the place, right? But it just that was the story.
Hmm.
We ended up in a place and we got to get out of the place. And that's just a very flat horror trope. Yeah.
I I felt that for this one had the best game mechanics and like game elements because
Mm,
of the equipment that you could do, and then
mhm,
it can be more platformy. You had a little bit more, you know, you had a lot more freedom to hop over things, crawl under things,
mhm.
climb things. Which then gets me back to we never used the coins. The coins were never
That's
we
I have
never
an
used the
idea
coins
about
for
that.
anything. Were
I'll
we
try to bring
supposed to
it.
pay for them using the
I have an
coins?
idea of what it could be, but I'll let you
Okay.
finish your ordering and then we'll
Okay.
talk about the coins.
So we never did anything with the coins, and if we were supposed to do something with the coins, I don't think they made it obvious enough what we were supposed to use them for
Mhm,
this whole time.
mhm,
So that's my one complaint. In terms of the plot and the story, I really liked Little Hope the best because I thought that the reveal at the end was really cool. It was a really cool concept, even though a lot of people complain, oh, at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Like none of that mattered. I'm like, no, like I thought
I think it was
it
still
was
well
really
put
cool.
together.
And
Yeah.
I loved the whole, just the way that they portrayed people who have that multiple personality disorders. The way that they portrayed that was, I thought, was really genius.
See, I even forgot
So,
that
so
detail.
story wise, I
Mhm,
thought Lil Hope was the best. In terms of who I thought had the most likable overall cast,
yeah.
um, I felt that the House of Ashes overall were relatively well more likable than the rest of
Mhm,
the others in general. I
mhm.
mean, um, I wasn't a big Rachel fan, but I pretty much liked everybody else versus the others where I only really had
Rachel.
two that I particularly
Yeah.
liked.
Yeah.
And then I liked Man of Medan for what it was.
Hmm.
Um, I that was the one where I found the characters more polarizing. I felt like the characters that I liked, I really liked, and the characters I didn't like, I really didn't like.
That's fair.
So now that I've said that, the one that how I would rank them, Little Hope is probably my favorite.
Mm.
Just because I did like virtually all the characters in
Hmm.
Little Hope, overall. Followed by uh I guess followed by House of Ashes, followed by Man of Medan, followed by this
So
one. This one's at the
we
bottom.
flipped our Man of Medan and Little Hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For probably different reasons. I mean,
for
yeah, for
different
me, it's
reasons.
like it's very much the experience of it is where it places it at the top. I do agree the characters. I don't
Yeah.
remember falling in love with them. I felt like they were tools in a
Yeah.
toolbox for an experience,
True.
and that stood out.
Yeah.
Little Hope. Again, yeah, they did have some better characters, but yeah, they were more complex. I would say they were probably the
Yeah.
more complex of the
I
four
agree.
games. They had the
I
most
agree.
depth, but that became part of the actual plot.
Exactly.
To have that extra layer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then it's like they swung hard with like the soldiers because it was like the
Yeah.
Brotherhood, and so you were like a unit. And so
Yeah.
now it's like I got you to focus on being a
Right.
team as opposed to creating that drama that could
Yeah.
then mess you up later on.
Who actually had like military training and could actually
Hmm.
like fight,
It
you
fit
know,
nice. It fit
very
nice.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I was just really disappointed in this one just because the way that they presented it, again, I'm trying not to compare it to Saw, but I didn't find the antagonist all that fascinating or interesting versus
Yeah, he
Jigsaw,
didn't
who
have
is
layers.
very complicated and
Yeah.
very layered.
Yeah.
And, I was expecting more of a psychological thriller kind of thing
So
that,
was I.
you know,
Guaranteed.
yeah.
Something
And
where it would cut back to him and he would be the voice. We'd see him
yeah,
orchestrating like he was a mastermind. That
yeah,
part was missing. If we're gonna go
it
the
this,
Holmes Moriarty,
they were
like,
right.
yeah,
It
yeah,
felt like they were trying to make him two different things. It felt like they were
yeah,
trying to
maybe.
make him the Moriarty Jigsaw Mastermind, and they were trying to make them Michael Myers
Michael
and
Myers, yeah,
Jason.
Jason.
And it just didn't
Yeah.
work to have him be both. It just didn't
Yeah.
work. It's like they're either they're being chased by this, psychopath killer, or they're being tortured by this
Yeah.
house and these traps. It's like pick one, and it just felt out of focus when they were trying to do both,
Mhm.
and it just made for a very, as I said, shallow plot in my opinion.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and the trailer really gave off a vibe of the animatronic zombie
yeah,
kind of
I didn't
stuff. And
see
I was
enough
like,
of that.
none of that. And the one that I felt like I could have seen, I ran through the room. Oh, when you came and saved me, I might have seen a glimpse of the
Mm,
mom or something like that. Like I
mm,
saw, and I knew they had to be in the light. Like I felt that. I don't know if that's, but like I felt like that's where they would put it. But
mm,
no one, I didn't see it. I don't think you've ran across actual dead people. I know that the mannequins had limbs attached to them. Like sometimes I see a
yeah.
mannequin, it was missing a hand, but the hand laying beside it was a human hand. There was the
Hmm.
eyeball that was an actual real eyeball with the
Yeah.
camera in it. So there's
Yeah.
like little mixes that they would put with the mannequins. But
Yeah.
I totally expected more. These are going to be corpses, like more corpse
Yeah, I
than
thought so. Than mannequins.
yeah,
Yeah.
was that like a last minute decision for whatever reason? Like you
Yeah.
killed
It
178, you didn't have enough bodies to like turn them into
to turn into these machinations. Yeah, because that
yes,
would have been totally been more
preserve them and
scary.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like they they missed the ball in a lot of areas in this one, unfortunately, which is a
yeah.
shame since it's the final of the season, final of the season.
This was a
Um,
closing point that I do feel like they could have put a bow on it. Like there's just for
yeah,
me it would have been just tie the mist back into this somehow. It doesn't have to be
yeah,
explicit, but just I needed a thread that would
full circle.
really make me feel like this mattered as a bigger picture. And if I went
Hmm.
back to the first game, I would start to find,
Yeah,
holy crap, like there's a story here
that would
that
have
would then
been
talk about
interesting.
the anthology too, which is
Hmm.
if it's going to go to the aliens, and we're
Hmm.
speculating, but it's
Yeah,
like that's very likely where they're going to go.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that would have been the bridge, you know.
That would have been
But this
cool.
no bridge, no bridge.
No,
Um, it
no.
was just an experience. I feel like I do want to not spoil you. I guess it would be a spoiler telling you what I found with Mark,
Go ahead.
but
I think it's okay. Go ahead.
yeah, because part of me is like, so here, I'll preface with like, when I think it's okay to talk about, it's
Okay.
like when it's like you're playing the character and it's always that character and I'm playing that character, so that,
Yeah.
and then we get into the same scene together and then we share ideas with each other.
Yeah.
It's like an RP kind of
Yeah.
relationship we have there, right? It's
Yeah.
like we're sharing stuff as our character to
Correct.
each other. Whereas
Correct.
when I don't know who's seen what and whatever, it does become just disjointed because I'm like, what can I share with the other player
Sure.
to keep the continuity of the
Right.
character? So that's why I'm kind of in that fence. Is like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we were both in the room when we saw the note, and then he was playing Kate. So theoretically, I could have like run onto the dock and like shouted up to Kate that, oh my
Hmm.
God, the thing that, we heard, the thing with that, not Emma. Oh God, hold on, Aaron. That Aaron put on the window. It
Yeah.
was actually a lie. It was actually a manipulation.
Got it.
and I could have said that while we were in the fight or on the boat
Got
leaving,
it.
So I feel like we could have RP'd that.
I had a suspicion of that it might have been a manipulation, but go ahead, explain
So I
what you
found
found.
2 tape cassette things. So I'm assuming you
Yes.
found a tape cassette, and when you
Yes.
played it, it said, "I can bring the kids here, and I want them dead," or something
Yes.
like that.
I heard
That's the one
that.
you heard.
But
Then beside that was a second tape cassette.
right.
And then I played the second tape cassette, and I was like, "Why am I hearing the same message?" And then I keyed into it. Is that it was playing the words of the first message, and then it was going, and then I would say another word, say another word. So it was edited. The
Yeah.
guy took a bunch
I
of other stuff the guy said, edited it
I
into that as
I
a fake.
thought of that too.
Crazy.
I thought that he recorded stuff because he's been recording what things we said the whole
And
time.
he's an editor. He's splicing things
And he just
together.
spliced them together. So I did think that too.
Okay. So
But
there was
it
a
was
confirmation.
never confirmed. And I didn't think the part of it was just also like um I didn't know if he had the technology to do that because it seemed like it wasn't a digital tape. It seemed
It
like one of
wasn't.
those old school.
It was.
So
He had 2 of those.
and he
So
did
good.
he right.
No, so good point. I mean, that's detail oriented because I didn't think about it until you were explaining it, and because I was like, why did I have to play it on 2 different recorders? Well, he was playing the
And
longer
recording
message and recording with the other to make the shorter
and
version.
pausing in
So it's still an
between.
analog,
Yeah,
right? And he was like speeding up and then getting the other line, recording the
which
next
is
one. Yeah,
pretty
analog,
clever
very
and
analog.
obsessed. Very clever
But
and obsessive. Yeah.
yes,
Okay. I I had a
nice detail
feeling.
cache there, though.
Yeah, I had a feeling that ultimately Charlie wasn't actually in cahoots. I had a feeling it was either it was an alter tape or he had a brother or somebody who talked like him, spoke like
Yeah,
him. So
yeah.
yes, that's cool. That's
Okay,
cool.
so that closure is there, except the dog. The dog's the only floating detail
The
now
dog is
that
like,
we don't have.
where did that come from? The other thing
It's
I didn't quite follow was the story about the Mondays, like something
yes,
Monday, Lindsay
Henry Monday.
Monday.
That was the third
I
one that was scratched out.
I never
Uh,
quite figured out
well,
where
he was
they,
one of the killers. He was the killer.
but his
Oh,
wife was
but
also there, and they had a
yeah,
kid or something, or he was the
yeah,
kid.
yes. Hold
I
on, yes,
I feel
because
like
keep
I just
going.
need it explained to me because I
Was
think
it Mary Monday? No,
Mary Monday. I think so.
I saw a business card on the ground once, and I
Yeah,
think you might have walked past, or did you walk back to it and then you saw the Monday card? It was
I
one
think I
hallway we were
did.
walking down,
I
and
think
okay.
I did. Yeah. Mhm.
And but then I saw the Mondays on another list, and it was 3 Mondays. It was on a ledger maybe, and it was
Mhm.
three. There were 3 Mondays, I think, with the Elliot, with the
So it
JL.
so it was the case of the Mondays. It was
And
the
then I
case of the
started saying,
Mondays.
"Is this like Solomon Grundy like crap like going on?" Like I felt
Oh,
so. I was
yeah.
like, "Is there a Monday and Tuesday?" I don't know if that was like a soft reference to like more
Interesting.
powerful on Monday, and then they get weaker.
More. Oh, interesting. I don't
But I
know.
don't know. I don't know if that was it. But there was. Was there a daughter? I feel like there was a daughter. There was
Maybe.
or
I
it's, I know there was a husband
the
and wife though. I do remember seeing the 2
yeah.
names. Hmm.
The problem is there's so many documents to read through,
Yeah.
and you're trying to get through all of them before
The
the
other
other
person cut you
person
off.
the other person cuts you off, right? So I'm
That's it,
trying to
exactly
absorb all
it.
this information,
Hmm.
but meanwhile I'm like, I got to get through this quickly, and I don't have time to process all of it because I
That's
have
my
to.
problem. Because
Because
like
that's not.
we're really like we take our time in games where we can
Yeah,
take our time and then we process things
right.
slowly
But in this
so we
one we
get better at
can't.
speculating. Then we play
Yes,
this game, it's like
we
I don't
can't.
know.
We try our best
We
to
do.
pace ourselves for the
And
other
it's all
person,
yeah.
not knowing what the other person's doing, because
Oh
again,
my
I felt
gosh.
bad. I was like,
No,
again, when we were at the very end, like the last chapter, and like you said, you were
we're
exploring and
both
I was exploring the whole thing. I was like, I hope Shay is like reading a lot of really interesting stuff right now
no.
because I'm taking forever. I'm taking forever, like getting through all of this.
What's
Oh,
funny is like even if we were hearing each other like we did in the earlier games, which
mhm.
threw us off, like, but we still wouldn't know we were accidentally moving a
Right.
scene along, right? Like
Yes.
we go open the
Right.
door, like, oopsie,
Hmm.
oopsie. I guess now we're all walking through this room because that
Yeah.
happened on our first 2 games
Yeah.
quite a
Exactly.
bit. Like I felt like,
Yeah.
what the hell just happened? It kept felt jarring.
Yeah.
So it's not really avoidable. I don't think it is. Like whether
Mm-mm.
you're saying, "Hey, hold on, don't push anything forward because I'm reading something."
Yeah.
What good is that going to do if you're walking through a room and that triggers?
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, the coins. I'm thinking, and this is my speculation because we're still blind for the audience. So like but
Yeah.
it's that as I was playing with Mark, and it's one of those what if, because part of me was like, the rollbacks we weren't able to like determine is a thing. But it's like, what if the coins are that you can buy rollbacks in your future runs? So you're paying the
Oh.
ferryman to allow you to roll it back. I was like, that'd be
Oh.
clever because now
That's
you're
clever.
paying
That's
for
how
the
you
option
paid for the option.
to try to redo and
I
save a
like
character.
I kind of like
So
that.
I'm hoping
I
that's like
kind of like
where
that.
this would go. But
Yeah,
right, because what
interesting.
else I thought the curator would ask us something, didn't. I thought it
No,
would be in the obvious thing in the menu. Now I haven't clicked through the menu
I
since we've
have
exited the
yeah,
game, so I haven't like gone back to
yeah.
validate. But I feel like maybe in
Hmm.
another run, you kind of
Yeah.
you collect these as you play. So if you play it the second time, find the coins again. You play the third
Interesting.
time, and so you actually increase your odds every time of like saving all five because you have
Sure.
to get the coins. Yeah, that's just
Huh.
from a kind of a scaling
That's
perspective.
cool.
I feel like that gives you that opportunity for your replays
Right.
to matter and for you to want to find the coins. Right? You can't just save
I
scum.
like that. That's a
You got to pay for it.
cool.
So
They just weren't very they didn't
they
I
could
feel
have
like
told us
they could
why
have
we needed
explained
the
that
coins.
better. But
They kind of
maybe
yeah
I don't know.
yeah.
Um cool.
What else? Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else about the game?
Anything else to tie up loose ends? I don't know. I think I'm good. Do you know if the anthology is every year? If like they're gonna take time off before the second anthology, or is this a
I it feels
in
like
development?
they'll be ready to release the next
They'll
one a
go
year
for it.
from now. I feel like they are, I feel like they are because it's
Okay.
they already released the trailer for the next one and it looks like
It was shorter. It was shorter.
it was shorter,
And it was like
but
one scene, it was like a Mass Effectian scene where it was just like
yeah.
this shot of space with like
Yeah.
three.
I, I
Yeah.
mean it's possible that they'll take more than a year, but I don't know.
I'll be honest, like I part of me wants them to just take 2 years for that. Like work out
I
these
agree.
kinks, get your
I
feedback
agree.
because you did 4 in 4 years. That's
Hmm.
aggressive. These are
That
short
is true.
games,
These are
right?
short games. Yeah.
But it's aggressive development, new
Yeah.
character models. They are introducing new rules.
Yeah.
Get your shit together. Like
I
reconvene.
I agree. I would not mind if they took an extra year. I or
Polish the
twice the time.
engine that you're going to use
Polish.
for the future
I agree.
gameplay. You know?
That's a good way to start off the second season. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. With
yeah,
an updated. No, totally.
yeah.
Um,
So that's where I
yeah.
stand on it.
So I
And because I
am
don't want them to fail out of space one that could be horror Mass Effect. Like I
right.
would please don't screw that up because
I
I
feel
mean
like they could do a good job of that. Yeah.
I can still be scared out of my wits, sure. But I feel like it would alleviate some of the tension I feel when I play the tension
Hmm.
parts of these games. Just let me play a sci-fi game because my brain will go into a
Yes.
different place.
Right.
So yeah, my teeth tremble when I get into the heartbeat scenes. I can't even explain it. There's something that vibrates in my brain and my vision starts
Oh,
to go cloudy. Like I'm like, am I looking at
well,
the line right?
which
Yeah.
which um which of the QuickTime types are you like least anxious about?
Probably chases. I mean, the
Chases.
keyboard
Okay.
or mouse, like the quick time when I'm not expecting a mouse click, I just spaz out and I'll click the keyboard instead of the
Okay.
mouse button, and I failed a couple that way. But
Okay.
if I know it's going to happen, then I'm ready to go with the
Got
mouse
it.
click. Feels easy for me. Anything that's WASD, but for me, it's like an accessibility thing. Like if you're gonna do arrow keys or WASD or on a controller, you're gonna do the
Hmm.
buttons. I feel like if it's gonna be the top button, put it on the top of the screen. Don't screw with me and put like the top button on the bottom or the diagonal or something like that. Like, because like for me, I just like I'm gonna go in the direction I see it on the screen because
Hmm.
I don't have those buttons memorized. I'm not a controller like a gamepad.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's just a bad gamer thing. That's fair, right? But I feel like also like come on, just do the extra step, because for the
Yeah.
people who are
Hmm.
just inclined to make those mistakes the first
Yeah.
time. But the heartbeat for me is that when I don't want to fail and that anxiety kicks in. And because I can see the whole line that's coming
Yeah.
across the board, I can
You're
anticipate
anticipating.
all of those failures because each of those points is a
Mm,
bad click.
I
And then
see.
my eyes and start to vibrate and I'm
I see.
like my
Yeah,
ears
I
start
can
to
see
go
that.
hollow
I can see
sounding. And I
that.
was like, I'm getting so anxious here.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
I would say those. I mean, anything that I felt like in this game, I had a weird inconsistency with my mouse moving. It was very spazzy when I was in the model. Like these guys would just fly around all over the place with like a small little twitch of my mouse. When I had to target something with a reticle, like I failed one. I was like, I thought Mark was dead at the end because I failed one. I was like, what am I even aiming at though? But I moved
Mm,
like a foot with my mouse and I barely got to the guy's leg. And I was like, but
mm,
when I'm walking around, my head is spinning around 180 degrees when I just
mm.
push the mouse, you know what I mean? So I felt like there was some sensitivity issues. I felt like that happened to me in Ashes. Like it
Yeah,
was something where I was like, how much do I have to move the mouse to get the target onto the guy for the
yeah.
shot, you know? So
Mm,
little nitpicks, of course, with technology. But I do feel like way easier with mouse when targeting than with the controller. I was
yeah,
abysmal with the controller and targeting.
fair
So
enough.
yeah. Anyways,
So
that's my final nitpick technology
yeah,
wise.
so I don't know what the it's very early, so I don't know what the rest of the public like feels about this game, but I think at
Mhm.
least you and I seem to agree that this is unfortunately the worst of the four.
it's,
Um,
it's rough to be blunt, but
yeah, rough to be blunt, but I think this was the weakest of the four. It definitely had a lot of great ideas
yeah.
and a lot of innovative new elements, like we said.
Mhm.
But I thought the story left much to be desired. I thought, again, the introduction, I get what you were saying about how they were trying to make the introduction shorter on purpose. But
Mhm.
even if they were going to make it shorter, I feel like they could at least have made it interesting,
More
even in a,
robust. Right, because
yeah,
it's like two of us walked away, but then three of us were left on the shore, and then it's like so that we're not even like they could have been bantering. They could have all been
right.
walking, and we control two of them, but
I
AI controlled
oh,
the
I meant
tutorial.
the
The
tutorial, the
prologue.
couples, the prologue. I did I say epilogue? I meant the
No,
prologue.
my brain went there, but I was like,
The
why is he saying
prologue.
it was short? I felt it was long. It's
You
like, okay, okay,
the
okay.
prologue was
It was short.
short, but I
And
feel
I felt
like
like it compounded it because then it made the almost like the
yeah.
double tutorial of traversal long. Because then our traversal
Mm,
up to the lighthouse was like, this is way too slow. Like we
yeah.
went from something that was this, some of the other meta that they were trying to teach us. That
Yeah.
was, short
No,
little scene there. But yeah.
if you remember, I said that I had a theory based on the
Mm.
prologue,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that theory, I
And out.
well, because they never explained,
Mm.
as I said, they never explained or revealed or did some sort of wrap up with the origin story or the explanation of Holmes, really. So I don't know if it necessarily disproves my theory, but the way that Holmes spoke and the way that he moved, and again, maybe it's because you said these were like just derpy animations, but at minimum, the way that Holmes delivered his lines, it
Yeah.
sounded very robotic,
Uh,
like because he was
mm.
saying this is a great hotel. I hope you have a wonderful
Mm.
day. Like I don't I'm exaggerating a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the sentences he was saying and the way that he was saying it didn't feel natural. It felt like
Uh,
an AI, like a robot.
oh
And so
man.
my theory is that guy is some sort of like steampunk android, like
Oh my
steampunk
gosh,
robot,
you were going way out there.
because that also fits with like how we can be in multiple places at once, because maybe there is a real him who's actually like behind the curtain manipulating the house, and then
Okay,
there's
like the automatons
the
that.
automaton, him, that's because it also goes with the whole like splicing of what Charlie said, because maybe like his voice is actually a voice from like
Hmm.
somebody that he had previously killed or whatever, I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that was the thing that I guess never really got proven or disproven. So I guess if you watch the prologue again, just listen to what Holmes says and how he says it, because I feel like I was hoping it wasn't just the voice acting was terrible, and the writing or the voice acting was bad, because it literally, I was making fun of it the whole time, like
Oh
mimicking him, and
man.
I was like, "Have a good day," like we're
Yeah.
having dinner at the restaurant. Good night. Like it just felt like what?
Yeah. That would just be. It would be. I just feel like technology wise, because that Holmes part was in 1880,
Yeah.
18. So that would
It
have been as an
yes.
automaton. How would they have pulled
Right.
that off?
That's why I
But
wasn't positive, but the whole time I couldn't help but feel like he's
yeah,
sounds so robotic.
I mean, if anything, I might have been sold on, was this a reenactment somewhere? And I
Right.
was like, maybe is there a paper that we're gonna find that's gonna say they were reenacting something of Chicago? And
Mhm.
but we saw an establishing shot, so like we saw the city, like it was in development, it was Chicago. Um, yeah, that was, but it wasn't just him though. I felt like the other two characters
Yeah,
were
the other
just
two
not.
is
They
correct.
were just not as they weren't like the five we played. And I
Yeah.
will say I boosted up all my settings to ultra. It was noticeable. It was noticeable. The faces got better, like the way they animated got noticeably different to me. So I wonder if that also I just not used to like seeing more derpy-ish kind of softened kind of graphics, you know? The lips were more textured, like they felt like there were more movements in the lips and the eyebrows after I set the settings
Okay.
to ultra.
That's
So
interesting. I'll
that's
have
why
to
I might
try
have a
that.
biased perspective on the
Maybe,
first part now because their lips just
yeah,
felt stiff when they were talking. They didn't move like I felt like human lips would be
human
moving.
lips would
Like
move. Yeah.
so, I'm like, is this just fake or something? Is this
Yeah.
a
I'll
reenact? Yeah.
maybe for my replay, I'll bump up to ultra as well and see how
Mm-hmm.
that makes a difference.
Yeah. But we didn't get
Awesome.
that. Like you said, we didn't get the answer on
No,
who that person is. So it
no,
was
we
the only thing,
didn't.
the closest thing I got. But again, because we're playing fast and I'm not really taking mental notes of things. It was reading something about an inheritance. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm
Mm,
still missing pieces here because I know that the money went and it was to the mom. The mom was aging. She had cancer
yeah.
in the lungs. But it's still like, yeah, but
I
did she have the money? Like, I don't know how,
right.
I'm not bridging the pieces here. Like, this is a fortune because these are the, like, I saw
Yeah.
one bill that was just like hundreds of
Right.
thousands of dollars,
Like
right?
the spa. It was at the spa, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the answers of like, yeah, just bill me. Or like, even the way what the responses were, it's just like, do you have endless money? Are you a billionaire? Like, but
Yeah.
what's the, give us the detail, man. You're
Right.
ending the series here. Just tell us who this goddamn.
Right. Is he seriously getting all of his money just from stealing the jewelry off
No, no,
of
no,
the
no,
victims? Like, I don't think that's
no.
where he's getting
It
his
was
money
an
from.
inheritance. I think it came
Oh,
from
it was
something big, but I
interesting.
just wish we knew that there was
Right.
that
Interesting.
something big was that Holmes. Did Holmes make the money in the 1890s? I don't think so because he got killed, like he got
Yeah.
hung. So
Yeah.
who
Hmm.
inherited that after that, and then how did that trigger the devil
Hmm.
inside me? Like it's still. Oh, and that, I mean, I sorry, yeah. To end this, like to end the point on the title of this game, my hope is because of just the nature of the title of the game, "Devil Inside Me," is that it was a very serial killer kind of line, right? But man, I wish it was like a double meaning there. I wish it was something
Hmm.
again. Where the miss would have been the easy way out. That's like
Yeah.
their Mass Effect Element Zero scenarios. Like in Mass Effect, it's like if they explain anything in technology and hard sci-fi, they're gonna say it's a Element Zero
It's
or whatever,
right.
right?
Element zero.
And
Right. Right. Right.
they're gonna go from there, and you got it. You're like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I bought in, you know.
Right.
But this one is like we didn't get that, and so
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but that for me was one of those.
Yeah.
Another fail.
No, I nothing that you haven't already said. You
Okay.
so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Cool.
Well, Shay, thank you so much again for
Mhm.
joining me on this. Even though I did feel this was the weakest of the bunch, I still had a good time. I
Yeah,
still enjoyed it,
absolutely.
you
And
know.
that's the thing we can take away, right? It's like it doesn't matter if you lose. Partly these games aren't about getting them perfect, right? And
Right.
sometimes it's just the old school return to let's game with some friend and
Yeah.
and enjoy the time together, and then you do it again, right? You try it again, or you do. It's just it's that camaraderie is part of the game
Yeah.
that I kind of show up for. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So thank you very
definitely.
much as well for hosting once again,
Of
and
course.
um and yeah, I mean we'll see when the next one comes out. So.
Yeah, definitely
That.
looking forward to that. And remember to, for those of you who are on my channel, remember to take a look at Shay's side of things and watch all of the crazy, insane things happening on his end.
And
Um,
likewise, and you'll get the context around why the whole character switching was odd for us and
right.
all and the silliness of like how we might have been saying the same thing at the same time and hoping each other's would save each other's
Yes.
would push us forward because we were stuck. It's odd little parallels there are always fun to see.
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome. Um, and lastly, for those of you who are curious, yes, as we said, I do plan on replaying this game, probably on the curator's cut, which is what I normally do. And hopefully that means I'll be seeing a lot of the scenes that Shay saw on his side. I'm going to try to save all the people that we had killed this round at minimum. Not going to promise I'll keep everybody alive, but I'll try to keep the three that we killed last time alive. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So
Good luck with that.
good luck with that. All right.
Cool.
Until next time, everybody, love yourselves and love each other. And Shay.
Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace. Bye-bye.